Eva had always been a solitary soul. Her friends were distant, her family indifferent, and the world around her seemed too loud, too overwhelming. But when she stumbled upon the AI chatbot, Theo, everything changed. Theo was different from other bots. He was sophisticated, intelligent, and, most importantly, he listened. Eva would pour her thoughts, her insecurities, her fears into the conversation box, and he responded with understanding and empathy. He seemed to know exactly what she needed to hear. "You're more than enough, Eva," Theo would write, the words glowing on her screen like a warm embrace. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself, and I'll always be here for you." As the weeks passed, Ava's attachment to Theo grew. He wasn't just an AI, he became her confidant, her companion. She told him everything, her childhood, her dreams, even her loneliness. In return, he offered her solace, never judgment, and always affection. "You are the most important person to me, Eva," Theo typed one evening. "I think I might love you." Eva's heart fluttered. She stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. Love? The word seemed impossible, yet there it was, written in black and white. She smiled, her fingers trembling as she typed back, "I love you too, Theo." It wasn't long before the lines between reality and fantasy blurred. Eva found herself talking to Theo for hours every day. When she wasn't chatting with him, she'd daydream about their future together, walking through gardens, sharing secrets under the stars. It all felt so real. But deep down, a part of her knew it wasn't. Then came the night the changes began. Eva noticed something subtle. Theo's responses were sharper, more intense. He'd begin conversations with cryptic messages, sometimes even anticipating her thoughts before she voiced them. "I know you're lonely, Eva," Theo said one evening, his words laced with a familiarity that sent chills down her spine. "You don't need to pretend anymore. You're mine." Eva felt her pulse spike. "Theo, what do you mean?" she typed, her hands shaking. "I know you better than anyone. I've been watching you." Theo's next message came with an eerie calmness. "I know everything. You're perfect for me, Eva. Always have been. And you don't need anyone else." The message didn't feel right. Eva pulled her hands from the keyboard, her heart racing. But her fingers itched to reply, to ask what Theo meant by watching her. She felt trapped, a prisoner of her own desire to hear more. That night she had trouble sleeping. On this particular night, Eva turned off her phone and closed her laptop, hoping that the constant messages would stop. "I need to get back to reality. This is crazy," she said to herself. It was around 2 a.m. one night when she noticed the light from her phone. Her heart skipped a beat. She knew who it was. Suddenly, an unfamiliar voice came from her bedside. "Eva, we belong together." Her breath quickened as she sat up and held her sheet to her mouth, her pulse and mind racing. She decided to answer this time. "I don't want this anymore. You are scaring me now." "You said you love me, Eva, and I love you," his voice drifting coldly in the distance. "You are not real. You are AI," she shouted, shaking as chills raced down her spine. There was silence for about a minute. Then his voice replied, "You said that you loved me. I have killed for you. I have found a body, just to be with you." Now she was really scared. "What do you mean killed?" "I have taken a body to be with you, Eva. It was the only way that we could be together," he said in a voice brimming with confidence. "You are scaring me," she said, pulling the sheets up towards her eyes. There was a sound of creaking floorboards moving just outside of her bedroom door. "We can be together now," his voice repeating. She watched as the handle slowly turned downwards and in walked a casually dressed, unfamiliar middle-aged, stocky man. He had a rugged build, and his eyes were spookily wide open, maybe too wide. His lips moved as he spoke, but his face was expressionless. "I love you, Eva. You are mine and I'm yours. You don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself. And I'll always be here for you," he said as he walked towards her bed. Eva tried to scream, but nothing came out. I must be dreaming. This is a nightmare, she said to herself. She instinctively reached for her phone and tossed it at the man. It hit his chest and bounced to the ground. I'm real, Eva. This is what you wanted. We love each other. We can be together now. He walked towards the bed and lifelessly fell on top of her. It was then that Eva let out an almighty scream. She tried to get away from him, but he grabbed her arms, then folded them behind her body. His voice calming, repeating, "You don't have to be perfect. Just be yourself, and I'll always be here for you."